Let's talk about the one thing your business is probably missing: its own operating system. See, most companies are only using a tiny fraction of their software's real power. Why? Well, it's because they're busy buying individual tools, when what they really need is a unified system. Let's break down what that actually means.
So let me just ask you this, and be honest. All that powerful software you're paying for, how much of its capability are you really, truly tapping into? Are you a genuine power user, or are you just kind of scratching the surface?
For most businesses using a platform like Zoho, the answer is a pretty shocking 10%. Yeah, you heard that right, 10. That means 90% of the potential power, the automation, the efficiency, it's just sitting there, completely unused. Let's explore why that is.
So why is 90% of all that potential just left on the table? Well, it almost always starts with a huge misconception. You see, a lot of people, they hear a name like Zoho, and they immediately think of just one thing: a CRM, a tool for sales. But that view is, well, it's critically limited.
Thinking a platform like that is just a CRM is kind of like owning a high-performance sports car and only ever using it to listen to the radio. You're completely ignoring the engine, the real power that's sitting right there under the hood.
And this limited view, it leads to a massive problem that you've probably felt: tool fatigue. You know, that feeling of pure exhaustion that comes from juggling dozens of different apps that just don't speak to each other. It's a lot like your kitchen, right? You've got a blender from one brand, a toaster from another, and fridge from a third. They all work fine on their own, but they don't communicate with each other. That is exactly what's happening in most businesses. The sales app, the project tool, the finance software, they're all just separate appliances that aren't on speaking terms.
And the consequences of that are painfully real. It leads to endless, soul-crushing hours of manual copy-pasting between systems. Your reports are always out of date because the data is fragmented everywhere. And your teams? They end up working in these isolated silos, where the sales team has no idea what the project team is doing, and finance might as well be on another planet.
So, what's the alternative to all this chaos? It's all about uncovering the hidden advantage of a true platform. The incredible power you unlock when you finally move from a bunch of disconnected tools to one unified system. Just imagine this for a second. Your salesperson closes a deal in the CRM, and an invoice is automatically generated and sent from your finance app. At that exact same moment, your project team gets an alert to begin the client onboarding process. Suddenly, there are no more data islands. Everything just flows.
So how is all this even possible? Well, the magic is in the architecture, specifically something called a single data model. Think of it as the central engine, the one source of truth that connects every single app. It's what allows your sales data, your project data, and your finance data to all speak the same language, letting information flow seamlessly across your entire business with no manual effort required.
But this brings up a huge question. If this unified system is so incredibly powerful, why do so many companies that have it fail to experience these benefits? Why are they still stuck with a bunch of disconnected tools?
Well, the answer often lies in a common but pretty fatal error that I like to call the Lego castle mistake. It's this trap of having all the best tools in the world, but somehow ending up with a dysfunctional system anyway.
Here's what happens. Businesses treat the platform like it's a grocery store. They just wander the aisles thinking, okay, today I need a CRM. Great. Then next month, we should probably grab a project app. And then later, let's add some finance tools. They're just picking apps one by one with no master plan for how they're all supposed to fit together. And this is what happens when you take that grocery store approach. You start with one piece, then you bolt on another, and then another, and pretty soon you're left standing there wondering why nothing connects. You've accidentally rebuilt the very same siloed system you were trying to escape from. It really is just like being handed a giant box of Legos. You've got all the pieces you could ever need to build an amazing castle, but you just throw the instruction manual away. Sure, you might build something, but it's not going to be the strong, integrated structure you were hoping for. This is why it requires a fundamental shift in your thinking. You have to stop looking for a new app and start looking for a platform. The goal is not to find the next cool tool. The goal is to find a single, powerful foundation to build your entire business on top of.
This all comes down to adopting a totally new mindset. It's a shift away from just implementing software and toward designing a business system.
So the right way, the strategic way, flips this whole process on its head. Before you touch a single piece of software, you map your entire business workflow. From there, you design the systems architecture, and only then do you select the tools that fit perfectly into your master design. That's how you build a system that can actually grow with you.
Ultimately, that's the real shift. You have to stop thinking like a software user and start thinking like an architect. You're not just setting up apps, you are designing and building the custom operating system for your entire business.
So let me leave you with this. Forget the limitations, forget the manual work, forget the data silos. Just imagine for a moment, if every single tool in your business worked together as one seamless, unified system, what would you build?